Hi friends, welcome to SR Physics Academy. Today we are going to discuss about Introduction to Lagrange's equations. We had previously learned the three laws of motion by Newton's. First law states that an object will not change its motion unless a force acts on it. The second law states that the force on an object is equal to its mass and its acceleration. And third law states that when two objects interact each other, they apply forces to each other to equal and opposite. But after some time we found some limitations in Newtonian mechanics. In Newtonian mechanics, the equation of motion involved vector quantities like force, acceleration, momentum, velocity, etc. This involves some force of constraints are there. Okay, now Newton law are valid only in inertial frames that do not hold in non-inertial accelerated or rotated frames. Okay, we will discuss what is frames of reference now. When we observe a motion from a particular frame of reference, we basically mean that we consider ourselves standing on the platform and observing the motion, whatever motion we see. Okay, here whatever motion we see is the frame of reference. So here what is inertial frame of reference? Whenever, according to Newton's second law, F equal to ma, whenever the given frame of reference is standing or moving with a uniform velocity, then that frame of reference is called inertial frame of reference. But non-inertial frame means whenever the given frame of reference, okay, here the ball is here and the lady is sitting here. Whenever the given frame of reference is moving with an acceleration, then that frame of reference is called non-inertial frame. So in this case, so it is do not hold a non-inertia accelerator rotator frames in Newton's law. Next is one more, it is F equal to ma. So we know that here m is what is that constant, okay, and acceleration. The product of mass and acceleration, we will get some force. In some cases, suppose the mass is invariant, okay, some values are changing m1, m2, m3, then also this is not applicable for second law. That is also limitations of Newtonian mechanics. Newtonian mechanics fail to explain the motion of particles which are moving with high speed close to velocity of light. Still we are believing some particles are also moving equal to or very close to speed of the light. But even that there also the Newtonian mechanics fail to explain more detail. So now the mechanics is a reformulation of classical mechanics introduced by the Italian French mathematician and astronomer Joseph Louis Lagrange in the year 1788. It is a scalar function. It depends on energy balances. Lagrange for classical mechanics is defined as the difference between kinetic energy and potential energy of object or system L equal to T minus V. This is also we can say that the Lagrangian function. Okay. So L equal to T minus V. So in this case, L means what? Lagrangian. Okay, Lagrangian function. T is the kinetic energy and V is the potential energy. It can be used to obtain the equation of motion of a system in any set of coordinates are there. That q1, q2, q3, etc. qn. So once more I am repeating here. What are the mechanics is a formulation of classical mechanics. It is introduced by Lagrangian. It is a scalar function. If Newtonal mechanics, you see all are vector quantities. So vector quantities, we will get more product vector and vector calculation. Sometimes it is a lengthy process. So here it is a Lagrangian. It is introduced all are scalar function. So it depends on all on energy balances. Then Lagrangian for classical mechanics, it is defined as difference between potential energy and kinetic energy. Here one more scientist is there, that is Hamiltonian. Here the difference between kinetic energy and potential energy. But same time Hamiltonian, it is proof that sum of kinetic energy and potential energy. Okay, this we will discuss later. Hamiltonian. It can be used to obtain the equation of motion, its only coordinates. In order to introduce Lagrangian equation, it is important to first consider the degree of freedom. Degree of freedom, we can short form, we can say that DOF is equal to number of coordinates. Okay. So here now we will discuss what is degree of freedom. Okay. The degree of freedom, the number of way of independent motion or the number of way of exchanging energy. So here the particle, suppose we know that, okay, for example here I am taking one particle. So the particles are moving one direction, then we can say that one direction. What is the coordinate here? X coordinate. Even the particle in free space, that means here x direction can move or y direction and also z direction. Okay, three coordinates should be there. So that means the particle moving in a free space, the three coordinate means it is how many degree of freedom is there? 3 degree of freedom. What are the three? X, Y, Z. Okay, similarly, n particles moving in a free space, then we can say that 3n degree of freedom. Suppose here n equal to 100, that means here 300 degree of freedom are there. Now, suppose in case two-dimensional coordinates, two-dimensional we know that x and y deal with, which are represented by, it is a coordinated plane. In some cases, suppose there are some limitations are there. Okay, so the limitation or restriction on the motion of the system. For example, if we are taking one simple pendulum, okay, this simple pendulum, it is fixed with the one end, okay, another end it is fixed with the bob. Okay, so in this case, so this is sometimes it is a movement. Okay, it is not a free movement. So what it is, some restriction is there. One end is tied with the wires or string. Okay, so here in this case we can say that, so how many, that is the direction, what are the direction we can, how many coordinates we can take it? 2 coordinate only, x and y. And in this case some movement, some restrictions are there. So these restrictions we called as constraint. What we call the constraint? Okay, constraint K, or we can write it C also. Some book they are written mentioned C, some book they are mentioned K. Okay, here I mentioned constraint means C. So here when it will happen, the constraint, the limitation or restriction on the motion of the system. Okay, so now in this case which one is constrained here? This ring. Okay, so before that one formula is there, dn minus c. What is the degree of freedom if any particle movement in the, means some restriction is there? So then that constraint formula, how to calculate the degree of freedom is dn minus c. In this case, d means how many? Here in this case x and y plane, okay. So that means the number of. Here d, okay, dimensions are there. Next is n. N means here number of particles. Here I am taking here the bob is the number of particles. That means 1. And for which one is constraint, that it is very important. So in this constraint, this string, okay. So c equal to 1. Just we are putting dn minus c equal to 2 into 1, putting the value d equal to 2, n equal to 1 minus 1 equal to 1. So here this simple pendulum, we will get 1 degree of freedom of simple pendulum. Okay. Suppose we are taking again to tidying this pendulum to another pendulum. Okay. So what happened? So this also see why we are using the Lagrangian. Okay, means it is very easy to calculate the symbol method. If we are going to the Newton method, it will go to lengthy process. So that's the reason we are learning here the Lagrangian equations. Okay. So now here the set of some coordinates, okay, q1, q2, q3 or independent variable be identified. So in this case, these are the position of all elements. So their position vectors of particle can be transferred by the following Ri, q1, q2, q3 or independent variables we identified here. Okay. Now, use the word generalize means free as continuing to any coordinate system. Here we don't have any restriction of any parameter. So, for example, here I am taking some parameters are, we can take it x, y, z, theta, time, pressure, all we can take it. So, these are the dynamic system of the system we are using in Lagrangian. And we have to remember that in this case we are using only scalar quantity, not vector quantity. Next, very important in Lagrangian equations, virtual displacement. Okay. So, virtual displacement of a system refer to change in the configuration of the system as the result of any arbitrary infinitesimal change of the coordinates. Okay, what is the meaning of this one? First is virtual displacement. Virtual displacement means we can say that some imaginary displacement. Okay. Even we are taken here virtual displacement symbol is delta Ri. Okay. Imaginary infinitesimal displacement or assume such a displacement is called virtual displacement. So we will take one example here. Here one box is there, okay. So we are giving some force. So we know that it will move little, so 5 centimeter. So it is understandable. We are giving some force, some movements are there. Then again giving little force, so little 2 centimeter only. So it is understandable, yeah, we are giving some force, so it is moved from one place to another, that is 2 centimeter distance is there. But again we are giving little small force, okay, very means just light force. So in this case their centimeter it is 0.0001 centimeter. That means actually it is not movable. Okay. But we can say that it is movable because here see the value is 0.0001 centimeter movement is there. Some particle movements are there. Okay. So this type of movement we call it as virtual displacement. Actually displacement is there means we can't able to see. Okay, it is not moving. So but still we are, it is according to what is the Lagrangian or this technique, it is saying that yes, virtual displacement is there. Clear? That this type of imaginary infinitesimal displacement we can say that virtual displacement. Okay, here some, suppose in this case this dotted line we can say that this all virtual displacement. Okay, actually virtual displacement in our eyes we can't able to see, but still we are believing that yes, it is virtual movement is there because it is very little displacement it should there. Okay. Even we have mentioned that delta Ri equal to delta R of Q1, Q2, Q3, dot Qn number of particles. Okay. So that's the reason we are writing number of particles with the time t. Now, then one more technique we are learning, principles of virtual works. That we have mentioned here, delta W. Okay, virtual work. So, in last, virtual work means what? Is an imaginary work done when a particle subject to a number of forces is moved a small imaginary distance. Okay, before I told you here that it is the one matter or one box is there, so we are giving some force. Okay, so before what happened, just what we learn in the virtual displacement, some movements are there. Okay, it is the small imaginary distance is there, is it? That imaginary distance how we got, we give some forces. Okay, so when we know that when force we are giving, okay, some displacement is there, then we can say we have done some work. Okay, so this one, it is equationally we can write delta W equal to Fi means what? Force, which suppose what force we are giving, into delta Ri. Delta Ri means imaginary distance or the imaginary displacement. Okay, so virtual displacement. So the what is the work done? Force. Okay, force into virtual displacement, that we can say that virtual work. Actually, we have done any work here. It is look-wise. No, physically we can say that it is not done any work. So it is, we can say that 0. Okay. Now delta W equal to, we have just now we told it is a one particle. We have taken here one particle. Suppose it is number of particles, then we have done sum of 1 to n particle Fi into delta R equal to 0. Clear? Now what we learn, it is the ith particle. Now we learn what is, we will go to how we got it this one. Okay, so here also just imagine, here I am going to taking this force. Okay, what we are giving the force, it is more detailed. This force we can say that total force equal to this, we are giving applied force, one applied force we are giving. Parallelly what we are getting, some constraint. Okay, some constraint force. The constraint force we can say that some frictional force is there, or what is that, return forces are there, reverse forces is there, whatever. Some constraint is there. If you take this seesaw also, this is also some constraint is there, isn't that movement? So actual applied force plus constraint force. Okay. So this constraint force we have taken here. C means constraint here. FIA means applied force. So in this case, this is what constraint force. But it is not, we are not seeing also in this case. So then only we will get the total force. Okay. So in this case, we assume the net virtual work done by the force of constraint. Okay, force of constraint is in this case actually 0. Okay, then we can say that whatever we are getting, summation of I equal to 1 into n Fi applied force delta Ri equal to virtual displacement equal to 0. This is our principle of virtual work. What is the resultant work done? Okay, the whatever we have done, no, this resultant work by the body during virtual displacement is called virtual work. Clear? For example, in n particle system, the total work done by the external force when virtual displacement are made is called virtual work, and virtual work done is what? Zero, we can say that. Okay, it's clear? Now, what is D'Alembert principle? Okay, this is also very important in Lagrangian equations. It is also known as Lagrange D'Alembert principle, named after French scientist, mathematician and physician Jean-Léon D'Alembert. It is an alternative form of Newton's second law. So, according to second law, we know that F equal to ma, while it is represented by in the D'Alembert principle. What he has done here F minus ma he has taken. That means whatever actual force he has taken reverse, means this reverse effective force from our Newton's second law, F equal to minus ma. This is where F equal to minus a, we can say that reverse effective force. Okay. So, in this case, so here what it is there? So it can be said that the object in equilibrium. In this case, both are what? It is one is real force is acting on it. Okay. When the real force is acting on it, F is an in this case real force. But in opposite minus Fa equal to minus Ma is a fictitious force known as inertial force. But in this case, what is fictitious forces, or we can say that pseudo forces. Okay. Pseudo force, it is an imaginary force like a frictional force. Okay. So it always acts in the direction opposite to that of the acceleration of the object. So here actual opposite, but here what is the pseudo force? It is opposite to the direction. Okay, acceleration of the object frame of reference. This is object. Okay, in this case, what do you call opposite forces? For example, we know that when traveling in a bus, if the driver applied a sudden brake, we feel a forward push. Okay, this push is due to the pseudo force. Okay, here we know that here summation of I, F is some force we have given minus what it will happen, reverse effective force. So mathematically we can write it Fi minus MIA into what is delta R, virtual displacement. Okay, see, virtual displacement here actual force, here reverse effective force, but it is also here what is the delta R is there. So virtual displacement equal to 0. So already we know that momentum P equal to ma. Okay, m equal to mass into acceleration. So here ma we can write it Fi minus Pa into delta Ri equal to 0. So Fi is the total applied force on the ith particle, and m is mass of the ith particle. Here A is the acceleration of the ith particle, and delta Ri is the virtual displacement of the ith particles. Okay. So you have to remember that here in classical mechanics, especially in Lagrangian equation, first we in this video we learn some introduction of Lagrangian equations, and a degree of freedom, what is constraint, what is degree of coordinates, and so the 2 or 3 techniques we learned, that is virtual displacement and principle of virtual work, and what is D'Alembert principle. So these all you have to remember that some techniques we are using for only Lagrangian equations and Hamiltonian. Then it is Okay, so now what is D'Alembert principle? Also you know that summation I equal to fi minus pi del Ri equal to 0. Okay, hope you understood. Thanks for watching.